Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I'm your host, Josh Davis, also known as Crash, and I'm joined with Steve, also known as Miller Time. And we are here on this Saturday night, October 29th, 2022, to break down Week 8 of the NFL slate. Steve, can you believe this season is almost halfway done already?
No, I was thinking about that. I was just talking about that with my wife earlier. It's crazy. It goes by so quick, right?
It really does. I mean, it feels like we were just talking about our favorite quarterbacks, halfbacks for the season, not that long ago. And here we are halfway through. So, or almost halfway. It's kind of, different with the 17th game now, but still almost halfway. So,
but look how far along we've come, right? Geno Smith, they put Geno Smith in your lineups or like a Daniel Jones.
Yeah, if you would have done that week 1, could you imagine?
I would have bet my house on it.
Right. So. And here we are. I believe he's leading the NFC in passer rating right now.
Yes, he is.
It's crazy. But anyway, if you're new to the channel, if you would hit the like button and then hit the subscribe button, that will let you know when our newest podcast is being recorded. And then also hit the subscribe. No, the alarm bell. That's what I meant. The alarm bell. That's what will let you know when our newest podcast is being recorded. But yeah, give us a like, subscribe, and then hit that alarm bell. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get into Week 8. We've got 2 teams on a bye. We've got the Chiefs and the Chargers. So Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes. Hopefully, if you have them in your season-long fantasy leagues, you're able to find a good replacement. Don't you have Mahomes, or am I wrong about that, Steve?
No, I don't have Mahomes. I got the guy I just mentioned, Geno Smith. And,
okay.
I got Geno Smith, and I have Trevor Lawrence on my team.
Okay.
The quarterback
late. You got to get up bright and early tomorrow to watch that garbage.
Oh, of course. That's what I got.
Yeah, it's going to be like 6:30 your time. So
exactly, that's exactly what it is. But you know what? I enjoy every minute of it. So
right
for the world.
Yep. Well, let's go ahead and get into it. Our top quarterback play of the week. Who is your favorite quarterback?
My favorite quarterback this week is going to be involved in the Detroit Miami game. I'm going to go with Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah,
he's my number one guy. His weapons. He's been back one game. He looked pretty good last week. It was a rainy day, so it was probably hard to hold on to the ball. It was just difficult when they played Pittsburgh last week, but he looked good.
He did. And he looked really good earlier in the year. He's got good chemistry with Waddle and Hill for sure. So I too have him as my top quarterback. I have another quarterback just right there, right with him though, price wise. But yeah, Detroit's allowed the 4th most fantasy points to quarterback. So it's a great matchup for Tua. And, Detroit's been in almost every game they've been in. It's been like 30, 40 points. So it's definitely one of those games that you want to have quite a bit of exposure to, I think, this week, just from a game script standpoint. After Tua, who would be your next favorite quarterback?
So I try to base his quarterbacks on the highest scoring game. So within that same game, I like Jared Goff.
Okay.
Not fading him this week. Miami's not very good against the pass either. So I like Jared Goff. And then within the other games, another high-scoring game I perceive is the Vikings against the Cardinals game. So I like both quarterbacks in those games as well.
Yeah, I was going to say Kirk Cousins is my next quarterback. He is 6,200 as well, 7,800 on FanDuel, $28 on Yahoo. Arizona's allowed the 6th most fantasy points to quarterbacks, so another good matchup there for him. Value-wise,
and they just came off a bye. They just came off a bye. Everyone's
just came off a bye. You're right. Yep, they sure did. Value-wise, who do you like besides those two?
As far as value goes, not sure as far as what the cost is for each player, but I would it's a crazy pick, but I like Andy Dalton this week. Andy Dalton did pretty good against the Cardinals last week. And then this week I just see him kind of having the similar type of thing. Lavi's playing. You know, Jawan Johnson's supposed to play. Michael Thomas is out and Jarvis Landry's out, but they've been out for a while anyways.
Yeah.
But I think he's kind of taken that role, and Kamara's been playing better as well. You know, as a value play, I kind of see, I kind of like Andy Dalton this week when it comes.
Yeah, let me check just real quick here while we're talking about this from an ownership standpoint and see if he's getting any kind of ownership right now. I would doubt it. Yeah, 2.5% projected on DraftKings. So yeah, that would be a nice value play if he's able to provide that for you. I know last week you were on Davis Mills, which I don't know how that ended up playing out. I can't remember, but I do believe they're playing the Raiders that week. So it's the same matchup that you're targeting there. So that's cool. For me, for value, you know, Malik Willis just was announced that he's going to be starting, but I think they're going to rely heavily on Derrick Henry. So I don't think I would go there. On DraftKings, Sam Ehlinger was announced as a starter. You know, Matt Ryan was benched for the rest of the year, and he's only 4,000 on DraftKings.
Wow.
So that's just, you know, that's even cheap for like a wide receiver. So for a quarterback in a decent matchup, I think that, you know, that could be a decent value play. He's only projected for 3.9% ownership. I figured it would actually be higher than that because a lot of these cash games, people like to go to quarterbacks that are super cheap and then stack the rest of their lineup. But it doesn't seem like that's the case. I don't think he's the worst play in the world, though, at 4,000.
No, absolutely not, especially with the weapons that he has around him. He's definitely got more mobility than Matt Ryan. I think it was a solid play for the Colts to, you know, they had to do it. So I know it was like pulling off the Band-Aid, but they had to do it.
I agree.
I think it was I think it's a great play actually this week. So he's surrounded by excellent talent too. So
Paris Campbell's really come on strong of late. He's been like 24 times I think he's been targeted in the last 2 weeks, which is kind of crazy. But he has been. On the flip side, who are you looking as far as a fade for a quarterback?
So I'm fading a couple guys. I'm fading Russell Wilson this week against Jags over in London. I'm just not sure about his injury and kind of what's going on with that. I'm also fading this week Dak Prescott. For some reason, I just don't like it. I don't like it against the Bears. Bears looked good last week against the Pats, and you know, I don't have him. And I'm also fading the quarterback that I have on my own rosters, Geno Smith, or Tyler Lockett being beat up, and DK Metcalf as well. Both game time decisions. It's crazy that Metcalf is even a game time decision. I wasn't expecting him to play at all. So those are the three main quarterbacks that I'm fading, along with all Pats quarterbacks. I think they really need to figure that out. I think they need to put a starter in place and stop going back and forth between the two.
I agree.
Yeah, so those are the quarterbacks I'm fading this week.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting how Bill Belichick was like, you know, I told the guys before the game we're going to play both of them. Well, you know, Mac Jones played like 5 minutes?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, that just was comical to me. So for me, I am looking at Dak Prescott as well. I too was pretty impressed with the Bears defense, and they're allowing the 8th fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks. So it's not just our eyes that are seeing that. The statistics back it up. So I like the fade of Dak Prescott there. I also think that they're going to rely heavily on Tony Pollard, which kind of is a segue to our next position, which is running back. Who is your top running back as far as a pay-up running back?
Pay-up running back, I'm going with Derrick Henry this week. That's my number one guy, especially with Ryan Tannehill being out and Malik Willis coming in. I like Henry a lot. He's my number one guy. I try to get him in all my lineups for sure.
For sure. Yeah, Houston has allowed the most fantasy points to running backs, and Derrick Henry in his last 3 starts against Houston, 250, 212, and 211 rushing yards.
Yeah, he has their number for sure.
Just ridiculous numbers. He's 8,400 on DraftKings. I like that price. He's 10,000 on FanDuel. So if you're going to put him in on FanDuel, you're probably going to have to play, an Andy Dalton or Ellinger or somebody like that to be able to make it all work. But I do think it's worth it, especially if he can get us, 40 fantasy points, which is what he's been doing up against Houston. So $40 on Yahoo. So not terrible over there either. After Henry, who would be your next running back in line?
My next running back in line would be McCaffrey with no Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel's out this week. McCaffrey, second week in that system. I like him a lot this week. So I try to get him in my lineups as well if I can.
Okay. And then for me, I know he's going to be chalky, but I do like Tony Pollard. I like what I've seen from him in the past. I think that he has a lot of explosiveness that Ezekiel Elliott doesn't have. He's 6,100 on DraftKings, 6,300 on FanDuel, and $17 on Yahoo. So very good price all across the board there. And I just think that he's a really good chalky play. And after that, who would be your value, I guess, for running back?
My value play. I like there's a couple more guys that are in the mix for some reason.
Yeah, there's a lot of running backs to like.
There's a lot of running backs. You can go a lot of different ways with this. Just try to figure out that lineup. Like right below McCaffrey I like Swift. Swift is back this week going against Miami. Swift is great out of the backfield, catches a lot of passes. Again, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game and it's going to be highly utilized. So I like Swift a lot. But as far as a value play goes, I like Dante Foreman for the Panthers. Chuba Hubbard's out this week. They traded Christian McCaffrey. He had a hell of a game last week. I think he had 14 carries, like 145 all-purpose yards, something like that with the TD. So I like that play this week against Atlanta. That's probably my number one running back as far as value-wise.
Value running back. Okay. Yeah, I actually have Foreman as well. All the reasons that you said with Chuba Hubbard being out. Atlanta's allowed the 10th most fantasy points to running backs, so it's a really good matchup for him. He should see a heavy workload. I think it's a really good play. Let's go ahead and look and see real quick here what's going on in the chat. Any questions here? Ellinger, we answered that. Algier on the Falcons. I'm not as high on him. Do you like him at all? Okay.
I'm actually fading him this week, unfortunately. He's one of my top fades. But yeah, I don't like it. Hopefully he does well, but my wife actually has him on her fantasy football team. But I just, for some reason, I think Carolina getting rid of, kind of cleaning house. Defense is playing well. The defense is kind of what carries you through these situations. So I'm going to fade Algier this week for sure.
Okay. Let's go ahead and take a second here and go ahead and do one of our first giveaway for the DK Millie Maker ticket. Let's see. We've got not a lot of people in here tonight so far. Must be a lot of people watching college football and the World Series. Let me see here. It looks like Gizmo Perk, you are the winner. If you could, what's that?
Oh, I said, there you go, Gizmo.
Yeah, there you go, Gizmo. If you could, if you are one of our members, you can just DM Coach Talk. If not, send us a DM on Twitter, and we will make sure that we get you the money so you can play in that Million Maker. I believe it's a $5 ticket that Coach is doing this week. So with that, let's get on to wide receivers. Who is your top wide receiver this week?
My top wide receiver this week is Justin Jefferson. I like him for many reasons. Going against the Cardinals, I don't know. I think, again, coming off that bye week, and I think that's going to be one of the highest scoring games of the week. I like Justin Jefferson a lot. I think I go to him a lot. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. You compare them together. And I like Jefferson too. From a statistical standpoint, Arizona is not terrible against wide receivers. So it's kind of interesting that we both landed on the same guy. But yeah, I do. I like Jefferson a lot. I think this is a really good spot for him, and I think he'll take advantage of Arizona's defense for sure. After Justin Jefferson, who would be your second favorite wide receiver?
One of the Dolphins receivers, either Waddle or Hill. It's kind of a tough thing to come by, but I would probably give a slight edge over Waddle than Hill. We're being back in the situation. I think he just has just a more consistent relationship with Waddle. He moves the sticks. He gets those, 15 to 20 yard passes. I mean, at any point, Hill can get that 50, 60 yard bomb, but I just think Waddle gets the more consistent targets in that situation. So I would slightly take Waddle over Hill.
Okay. Let's go ahead and look here at the ownership, because I actually have Hill. So it's kind of cool that we got both of those guys.
Yeah.
So I'm showing currently for Jalen Waddle, we have him at 13%, and Tyreek Hill, this is DraftKings, 21.9%. On FanDuel, Hill is the second highest owned player at 23.7, and Waddle is only 10.6. So that's a good situation there for him. On Yahoo, Tyreek Hill is at 25.6, and Jalen Waddle is at 13.2. So on all three sites, Waddle is definitely the lower owned. But I think what you said made a lot of sense, that he's going to get all those more simple targets and stuff, and not have to rely on deep balls.
Those underneath routes that he gets from Tyreek Hill taking the top off the defense.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I like it. After Waddle, who would be your, value wide receiver?
I don't know how much of a value that he is as far as ownership goes, but I really like the way that Hopkins ran routes last week. He looked solid. He was in and out of his breaks real good. So I like Hopkins this week as well.
Okay. I'm looking at his ownership. Looks like he's right around, so far on DraftKings and FanDuel, right around 14%. He's 19% on Yahoo, so a little bit higher over there, but still pretty decent ownership-wise. So I like that play. I also have a couple tournament lineups where I'm running a Vikings stack, and I'm running it back with Hopkins. So I like Hopkins too. I think that's a really good way to get to him. For me, my value play is Van Jefferson. He's 3,000 on DraftKings. He's 5,400 on FanDuel, $13 on Yahoo. I just feel like, besides Tyler Higbee, there is no secondary option really for the Rams right now. Allen Robinson hasn't been what they hoped he would be. That's for sure. And I think they're going to kind of rely on Jefferson because, he has some experience in this offense and some time that he's played with Stafford last year. And I think he's going to help take away some attention from Cooper Kupp too.
Oh, for sure. And he's the guy that they've been missing. He's the guy that takes
the deep threat.
The speedster, takes the tops off defenses. Cooper Kupp is probably going to have a pretty solid game as well. The cost for him is pretty steep, but I like Cooper Kupp as well. Unfortunately, I can't fit him in my lineups based on everyone else that I'm trying to put into it. So, but Cooper Kupp's a solid play as well. But I like Van Jefferson a lot as well.
Okay. And then who would you say would probably be your fade as far as wide receivers go? Let me go ahead and give you the top wide receivers as far as ownership.
Okay.
So for the top 10 on DraftKings, we got, let's see. Okay, we got Tyreek Hill, number 1. DJ Moore is number 2 at 5,300. So he's cheaper. That's why. Olave's 3rd. Amon-Ra St. Brown 4th. Then we have Justin Jefferson, then DeAndre Hopkins, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Adams, who's actually questionable, I saw, Garrett Wilson, and Drake London. So out of those, who would you say would probably be your fade?
It's funny you say it. DJ Moore is my number 1 fade.
Okay.
Yeah, DJ Moore is my number 1 fade. I also fading CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, all the Steelers wide receivers, and I'm fading Tyler Lockett this week.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So those are the names that I'm kind of trying to stay away from.
Yeah. And fading the second highest owned wide receiver, you're definitely going to have good leverage against the field for sure. I think for me, I'm probably going to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he's going to see Xavier Howard, and I think it's going to be a tough matchup for him. So, yeah, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be my fade at wide receiver. All right. Well, let's go ahead and look at tight ends. Who would be your top pay-up option for tight end? I know we don't have a lot because the Ravens have already played. The Chiefs and the Chargers are on a bye. Not a lot of top tight ends. So
I'm going to go with Irv Smith. The Cardinals are terrible at guarding the tight end. Again, just came off a bye. I like the Minnesota offense. So my number one tight end this week is Irv Smith, or and then my number two tight end is Hawkinson. So those two guys kind of hand in hand. I can go back and forth with either one of them, but those are my two number one tight ends this week.
Okay. Well, the good thing is on DraftKings, Irv Smith's only 3,500. He's only 5,000 on FanDuel and $15 on Yahoo. So really good value there for Smith too. Hawkinson, I believe, is probably either the most or the second most expensive tight end. Just like I said, there's not a lot of pay up tight ends for sure.
No, not really.
Other options besides that, for me, I like Tyler Higbee. He had that nice game against San Francisco last year in the NFC Championship, where I believe, if I remember correctly, didn't he score 2 touchdowns even though he got hurt?
He did.
Okay. And then I like Gesicki against Detroit. That's going to be a high-scoring game. And they could, maybe try and double team Waddle or Hill. If not, you just completely focus on those guys. So that would open up a lot for Gesicki. So I do like Mike Gesicki in this game. I think that's about it for tight end. Before we go into defense, let's go ahead and do another giveaway and check on the chat here. Let's see here. Okay.
I was totally wrong about it went the total opposite way about Tampa Bay last Thursday. I thought he went home, made things right with his family. It went total opposite.
Not only that, but then we get the news that they're divorced. So
they're divorced. Yeah. I think she's just trying to go after a young buck, Young buck.
Yeah, it happens, unfortunately. All right, so our winner for the second ticket is going to be Niles Simmons. So, Niles, if you could reach out to Coach, we will make sure we get you that money and get you your ticket. So, congratulations, Niles Simmons. All right, Steve, let's go ahead and finish this thing up with our defense. Who is your top defensive play this week?
Top defensive play is going to be the Cowboys against the Bears. I don't know. Micah Parsons questionable as well. But if he's playing, I would for sure try to get, I would underpay for other players and try to get Cowboys in your lineup. It's my number one defense for sure. Who do you got as your number one defense? Who are you looking at?
For me, I like the Eagles. They're a little bit underpriced in my opinion on DraftKings at only 3,900, and I just like them against Pittsburgh. I think it's a really good matchup for them. They just added Robert Quinn, who was like second in the league in sacks last year, which I know he was off to a slow start, but I still feel like he's probably got something left in the tank. Plus, he's going to be around some real, good defensive players now. So. I like that. I like that addition for the Eagles. So they're my top defense. Any other defenses that you're looking at besides the Cowboys?
I like the Eagles as well. Eagles is another great defense. They've been great all year long. I just try to look at the lowest scoring games of what I think it's going to be, and I think the Falcons and the and the Panthers going to be a low scoring game. I would take a slight advantage for the Falcons in that game. I think the Falcons can put a stop to, since I'm fading DJ Moore, I know we got Dante Foreman in there, but I just don't think that pass game and that run game. Chuba Hubbard was in there splitting carries with them, so I like the Falcons as well as a good defensive play this week too.
Okay. The other defense. Go ahead. Yeah.
Just based off of game script pretty much. So
Right. The other defenses I like Tennessee against Houston, and I like the Jets against the Patriots. I think that's a good matchup for them at home against the Patriots, and that whole mess at the quarterback spot, so.
Yep, exactly.
Yep. All right. Well, with that, we'll go over to our presenting sponsor, Boom Fantasy. If you haven't joined Boom Fantasy, you can go to join them at boomfantasy.com. They will 100% match your first deposit up to $100. Who is your top 2 plays this week on Boom Fantasy, Steve?
So I like Latavius Murray over 8.5 rushing attempts. With Boone being gone, I think him and Melvin Gordon, I think he's pretty much the lead back over there anyways. Yeah. So I think he'll have double-digit carries this week. And I also like Trevor Lawrence having 12.5 rushing yards this week. So,
okay. Over 12.5 rushing yards. And for me, I have Derrick Henry. Like I said, he's gone over 200 yards in 3 straight games. They only have him at 100.5. So I feel like he can definitely 100.5. I mean, not 150, 100.5 rushing yards. So all he needs is 101 to beat that number. I definitely think he will. And then Dante Foreman over 16.5 rushing attempts. Last week he had 15 with Hubbard getting 9. I think he's going to get probably 20 to 25 this week. So I think 16.5 is too low. And I like that number at 16.5 for Foreman.
Yep, solid play.
Do you have any long shots that you like? I know last week you had a couple for us.
Oh, it's just not right now. I don't have it.
Okay.
I could try to figure it out real quick, but I was looking at it earlier. Just nothing really seemed like it was. They all seem like real long shots.
Yeah, so, yeah. I know. I saw that. I was like, these are definitely long shots here. So,
like one that sticks out is Travis Etienne getting 99.5 rushing yards. With James Robinson completely being out of that mix because he was traded to the Jets this week.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I just I think they're still going to utilize him in the same way that they did. They're still going to throw the ball about 25 times a game, and I think other running backs are going to come into that mix as well. So maybe the rookie Snoop Connor comes in. I know JaMychal Hasty is a change of pace back, but I'm really unsure of why the Jaguars got rid of James Robinson. They got this guy undrafted free agent. Rookie of the year, made the Pro Bowl. Guy doesn't celebrate. He doesn't spike the ball. He keeps to himself. And they had him for $800,000, something like that. Why would you ever give that up if you're the Jaguars for a 5th round pick?
Yeah,
it just doesn't make any sense to me at all. I think it was the worst trade that they could have done ever. I just don't get what they're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, it makes 100% sense for the Jets and no sense for the Jaguars.
So. Yeah, like they totally lost out on this diamond in the rough that they found 2 years ago.
Right, and the Jets just had it fall into their lap. I mean, they've got their replacement for Breece Hall now. So
right, yeah. I mean, it just couldn't have been a better situation for them.
Exactly. I mean, that just doesn't happen where you lose your rookie, phenom running back, and then you just replace him with pretty solid running back in return. So
with a great attitude, like someone that is just like, he's not gonna fight with you. He's not gonna argue with you. He's a stand-up guy. I'm kind of blown away by it. I've been thinking about it all week.
It's pretty head scratching for sure. Well, that will do it, guys, for our week 8 show. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hope you guys join us next week. We could have a little bit different look. I think we've got some scheduling stuff going on, so I'm not sure exactly who's going to be here next week, but somebody's going to be here to talk about week 9. Hope you guys have great success this week. Let us know on Twitter if you have any wins. If you're not in our Discord already, please let us know that. And we'll be back again next week when we look to crush it in NFL DFS and Boom Fantasy. Thank you.